Hello and welcome. Well, today we're looking at a successor for Afari Gyan. Now, this is a very, very sensitive position by far. For us, elections is do or die. For us, everything will stop for elections. And this is the man who, of all things, elections in this country. Next to the president is the one single most important person to Ghanaians. And it's about time. His tenure of office is coming over, and we need to find someone to fill this very important and sensitive team. The whole thing is that we need to find someone who cuts across board, who will be liked by the proverbial NPP, NDC, and all the little multi-parties making the state Ghana. Now, who could that person be? However, the law mandates the president somewhat, not singularly, but majoritarily, has a majority stake in deciding who takes up this office. But the school of thought is saying that, no, Mr. President, consult everybody. Let us all chip in and let us all put some names down so that whoever you choose becomes sort of an EC for all of us and not necessarily one particular party. And that's been a deadlock, and that's where we are today. Should we go by the law? 20 years ago, things were different. Things have changed now. Could we break the law or bend it a little bit to suit Ghanaians? That's what we are yet to find out. Now, with me in the studio as a senior lecturer, political science, University of Ghana. He's also a research fellow for IEA. Dr. Ransford Jampo is going to shed a lot of light into this. And then we're going to go on the phone and speak to various political general secretaries to hear what they have to say. Are just going to sit back and trust the president, or do they want to have an input? Folks, my name is Nana Sakwa, and this is PM Express. When I come back, we are talking who's going to fill this sensitive seat. Well, thank you very much for saying, but this evening is going to be a lot of education, a lot of understanding as to what next. How do we fill this very, very sensitive seat? And I still say it's very sensitive because of our own culture and our obsession to politics and all things elections. And there's a man who sits or presides over all this. Even though he's sort of the face of the commission, we tend to put a lot of blame and look up to him or look up to the position much, much more. Who's going to be a better suitor? But let's get talking. Doc, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Doc, I think, apart from the president, or probably near enough the president, just by the nature of Ghanaians so obsessed with politics, it is a very, very sensitive position, being the EC chairman.
Well, given the fact that over the continent and in the West African sub-region, most of our conflicts have been as a result of, elections. It is always important that you get somebody who has the wherewithal to be able to run and, administer elections such that their results will be accepted by people. And so I agree with you that that position is quite sensitive. I mean, particularly a country that wants to guard jealously its peace and stability. You cannot toil with that position. And so it's quite a sensitive position, and we wouldn't no two ways about that.
I mean, Afari Gyan has got his ups and downs. Some of his downs, personally, I thought have been quite needless. Overall, what would you mark him as? Look, he did his job, or look, he could have done better?
Well, I think he did his job. He's done creditably well. We would miss him as a nation. Somebody who was brought in somewhere, supervised. His first election he supervised was the 1996 elections, and since then he's presided over all elections, national elections, general elections, presidential elections, parliamentary elections, district level elections, and even supervised the conduct of elections within individual political parties.
SRC elections?
No, individual political parties, okay? When they are running their own internal primaries and all that, he supervised, the EC supervised those elections. And so he's done well. He has supervised
the EC supervised the SRC elections?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's student politics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what we're talking about now.
No. I mean, I'm talking about his, the magnitude
I think
of
the students have their own electoral commissions.
Okay.
I mean, they supervise their own internal elections. But yes, he supervised elections that have seen the exit of ruling parties and coming into power of opposition parties, and power have alternated, and Ghana's peace, tranquility, and stability have been intact. And he was brought in by the Rawlings regime. He supervised the exit of the NDC that brought him into existence. And we all were ushered into the regime of J. Kufuor. And in 2008, elections were held. And this same person supervised the exit of the Kufuor regime. He brought back the NDC regime. And so for me, I think he's done creditably well. To err is human. He presided over human institution. And so we can talk about some of the challenges. And you would agree with me that the history of our fourth republic show that our electoral processes themselves have not been stale. Every election year, we see flaws and then we improve upon them. I mean, from the usage of opaque ballot boxes to transparent ballot boxes, photo ID cards, biometric machines, and verifications here and there. I mean, these are all innovations that we have gone through from 1992 up to now, and currently there are reforms ongoing. And so some of the challenges that were brought about as a result of after 2012 elections are still being looked into, and they are being reviewed, and the proposals are being made for implementation to continuously fine-tune our electoral processes to ensure that they deliver results that are acceptable to the people and to the stakeholders. And so I think yes, there are ups and downs, but why not? It's a human institution.
Okay. Now, before I move on, we've talked about his achievement. I will just look at one flaw and then I'll move on. And if I'm looking at the flaw, then I'm looking at the very last one that cost the nation 360 million. It was so basic and needless from the layman's point of view, because the EC was warned that you're going through an elections without a law. And considering that this man has got experience since 1996, it was quite needless for him to still say, look, I'm still going to go ahead and do it, and eventually go to court, lose it, and cost everyone 300 million. Now he needs another 90 million to redo this local elections again.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we are saying is entirely correct. If you speak to the EC on this, they will give you their side of the.
Well, I spoke to the lawyer who presented the suit.
No, I'm saying if you speak to the EC, you spoke to one side. Yeah. But if you speak to the EC,
well, that's the story that won the case.
Just let me make that point. That if you speak to the EC, they will tell you some of the challenges that they encountered in their bid to prevent what happened. And take note of this. We are running the EC as a nation, and it has deficiencies and challenges. One of them being the fact that it has no independent legal or a legal, unit, staffed by experts that advises or proffer advice and opinion on some of these things. And they are always relying on external, advice and all that. So that may have accounted for some, an issue like this. If they had had a legal department, maybe they would have looked into the matter and proffered legal advice. So going forward as a nation, maybe one of the reforms would be that to continue to remain an independent electoral commission, you need not always sourcing advice, legal views from outside, but create your own and staff, create your own legal department staffed by competent people who would look into some of these matters and proffer advice so that we don't incur unnecessary financial loss to the state.
Let me acknowledge Mr. Peter McMahon, former NPP chairman. Mr. McMahon, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we are looking at a successor for Dr. Afari Gyan, and my preamble was that it's a very, very sensitive position because of our nature and politics. Your colleague, Dr. Ransford Jampo, is here, who says that elections has really brought in some nations down within the West African region. So if you're going to have somebody to fill such a sensitive position, the person should be, very, very much accomplished. The NPP is proposing that, let's have a broad consultation to make sure that whoever we choose is liked by all. The law also provides that, well, the Council of State will advise and then the president will choose, and that should be enough. What's your position?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Did you get my long question, or the line was bad?
If you can ask your lady to, the line is making a lot of noise.
Here, I can hear some crackling in it. Sound, is there any way you can raise my volume?
Is it raining in Accra?
No, it's not raining in Accra. It's probably a technical fault. Hopefully, it will be better if
there's so much noise in the.
Okay, the phone. Okay. I'm going to let them cut the call. Let's try back and see if I can get a clear line. Let me see if I can get a clear line.
But let me correct that impression that you made. I'm sure you are in the media, so you should be following what is going on. The call for broader consultations and the selection of the new chairman of the Electoral Commission is not an NPP position. It's something, well, it could be a position that they subscribe to, but something that the caucus of political party chairmen, talked about yesterday. And I'm sure it was in the news. And the caucus of political party chairmen, essentially, it's it's one branch of the Ghana Political Parties program. Okay. The chairman, the caucus is made up of the 4 main chairmen of the political parties that have representation in parliament. It is chaired by the chairman of the ruling party, Kofi Potofi, and Mr. Paul Afoko is a member, Alhaji Ramadan of PNC is a member, Samia Nkrumah of CPP is a member. So it's a 4-member, caucus, and they meet from every month, once a month, at the IEA Secretariat to discuss issues of national importance in an apolitical manner. When they go there, they put their partisan lenses, down and look at Ghana. Okay, so they met yesterday and said that yes, the president, per Article 70, Clause 2 of our Constitution, is supposed to appoint an electoral commission, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, on the advice of the Council of State. And they said that yes, given the fact that one of the reasons why we went to court after the 2012 election, was the fact that it was the feeling of distrust as to who was being partial and who was not being partial, partial and all that. It is important for us to have some, to broaden the basis of our consultation. Let people, consult people. In the process of consulting people, I'm not sure we would have undermined or violated any of the constitutional provisions regarding how the EC should be selected, or the chairman of the EC should be selected. And so speak to stakeholders. Ghana has owners, okay? There are people who, I would say, own Ghana.
But you can talk about by the
Council of State. We will talk about the Council of State, and you will know that the Council of State is challenged by several factors, by the nature of selecting people there, and also by the mandate of the Council of State. After you've spoken to Mr. McMahon, if you want us to look at the Council of State, then we can just analyze the composition of the Council of State and then the mandate of the Council of State, and you will know that it is not that it's not broad enough, but it is incapable of proffering independent advice on some of these things.
Are you sure?
Speak to McMahon.
No, the line is bad, so I think they are trying to fix the line, so we'll carry on until...
Now, first of all, the president has an overriding power of appointment in terms of composition of the council. You know what it means? The idea, read the 1979 Constitution and then read the committee of experts that drafted our 1992 Constitution. Look at their report. And then if you look at their report on the Council of State vis-a-vis what we have now, you will see that we borrowed the concept of Council of State for our traditional conception of Council of Elders, and we just brought it here to just water it down to make it toothless. Now, in a traditional setting, if you speak about the Council of Elders, now they are eminent people who are in the chief's palace.
So you're talking about the Beson?
No, as of right. They are the representatives of various lineages and clans in the community. Before the chief was born, they were in the palace. No chief had a hand in appointing or selecting a member of the Council of State. And one of the reasons why a chief got destood was his failure to listen to the advice of the Council of Elders. No chief had the power to appoint or had a mandate or had a right to appoint any of the members of the Council of State. Now, what do we have? We have a president appointing 11 members of the Council of State, and then he also have an influence in the determination or selection of those who are coming from the regions. And so at the end of the day, and if you look at our constitutional provision, I think Article 89, Clause 2 gives the president power to terminate the appointment of the Council of State with the prior approval of Parliament. And given the fact that it is now in the history of our Fourth Republic, so that it's easy for any president to have the majority on its side. I mean, that alone is enough to tame an independent member of the Council of State. And so the point is that they owe their appointment to the president. And more importantly, take note, their role, their mandate is merely advisory. So the president is not bound. But I'm saying that in the traditional conception of the Council of Elders, you would lose your position as a chief if you fail to heed to the advice of the Council of Elders.
I got Mr. McMenu on the phone now. Mr. McMenu, I hope I have a better line.
Thank you.
I hope I have a better line now.
Yes, thank you.
Very good, very good. I'm sure you heard a little bit of that. I want to find out what your position as to going forward. I don't want to use the word trust, but in quotes, do we rely on the Council of State and the President to give us a new EC, or we need a broader consultation?
Well, I will go in for broader consultation. Much as Article 72 of the Constitution says the Council of State shall advise the President on the appointment of the chairman and members of the Electoral Commission, I think that there is nothing wrong, in spite of that provision, for one, the Council of State itself to do a much broader consultation, and for the presidency itself also to deepen that consultation that is undertaken by the Council of State. I would say that the image of the Electoral Commission of Ghana now is battered and low. So we need an all-consensus, all-involving kind of Electoral Commission chairman who will be all embraced by all the stakeholders, the political parties, civil societies, various associations, in fact, the entire Ghanaians, so that he can raise the level of trust and confidence of the people in the commission.
Afari Gyan came into being without any broader consultation, and I think he's done his job quite well. I mean, going forward, why do we need to change the status quo?
Well, I think that we don't live in a static society. Society is quite dynamic. No wonder that His Excellency, the late President North, saw the need to review the Constitution of Ghana under Professor Fiajo. And if you look at the recommendations of Professor Fiajo's Constitutional Review Committee, independent constitutional bodies like the Electoral Commission, their mode of appointment and tenure of office as it exists now were attacked, and they were recommended to be changed from the current one of Council of State advising the President to involving two-thirds majority of Parliament, and then limiting their tenure of office from open-ended to 10 years. That's the recommendation of the Professor Fiajo Constitutional Review Committee. So we don't live in a static society such that you have used something in 1992 and you think it should still stay. No, I won't go in for that. Times have changed, the dynamics have changed, and we need a revised one.
The most difficult is finding somebody who will be liked across the board. I mean, where do you...
Well, you see, in all these things, we must look at Ghana. Ghana wants a peaceful election, a non-violent election whose results will be accepted all and sundry, where the victor is congratulated and the loser accepts the results. That's what Ghanaians want. But let's ask ourselves, how can the winner be? How can the loser accept the results and the winner congratulated? It depends on an electoral commission that is free and fair, credible, accurate, impartial, does not pander to anybody, and focus on the job using technology, and then legally bringing in on board new laws that will make the electoral environment clean and stable. These are the things we want from the man.
Mr.
So we know what we want that will make Ghana peaceful, and all Ghanaians want from an electoral commission is non-partisan, open, inclusive, accuracy, does not pander to any political party, be it opposition or government. That is it.
So would you suggest we go the Nigerian way, where we go academia, get vice chancellors like they did, have a board chairman full of vice chancellors, because they normally are.
Let me tell you, I know Nigeria. I was there in 2011 elections, and I was there in 2015 elections. I know it very well. Professor Jiga was appointed in October 2015 from the university, from the academia, like Afari Gyan. Okay? He himself, Professor Jiga, when Nigeria set up a constitutional conference, he told them that the mode of appointing the electoral commission by the president, subject to two-thirds, is subject to two-thirds approval from the Senate. He thinks that the presidency should not have a hand in appointment of an electoral commission, though he has been appointed by the electoral commission. He feels that it makes the public think that somebody in that position is going to be at the beck and call of the presidency that gave the appointment. That's his view to the Nigeria's Constitutional Conference. Okay? So, and talking about the professors who came and made the announcement, the election result, they are returned state electoral commissioners. But it is the thinking of Professor Jiga as chairman that brought those things into fruition. They could not have come on their own if the commissioner and his team did not think that they would do better. Okay? So that's what I'm saying.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Well, thank you.
The status quo, as it exists now, though that's the constitutional one we have to follow, it's not the best. And Professor President, both appointed as chair of the Constitutional Review Committee, his recommendations are there on the electoral commission.
Thank you for your thoughts there. I come to studio and continue. What do you reckon? Get Professor Professor Ernest Aite, EC chairman. I mean, nobody's going to say he's left or right.
Well, I don't know, but it looks as if even though Nigerians did it, we may not have to swallow hook, line, and sinker whatever happened in Nigeria. The point, I think, in his argument, and this is what we have, I'm also saying, that it is important for us to broaden the consultation processes. You wouldn't undermine any constitutional provision. Who told you that the president will just one day get up and a name will come into his head and then he consults the Council of State and he will table it? Definitely he will be speaking to some people. Definitely he would speak to some people. And so the chairmen are saying that broaden the base of the consultation processes. And this thing that they did, the chairman of the political parties did yesterday, is something that is unique. It's something that we must applaud as a nation. It is something that should give us hope that democracy has come to stay, and we can't have the threat of democratic relapse is a thing of the past. You have all the political parties. What we know is that NDC chairman and MPP chairman should always be at each other's throat. But they said, no, let's meet at a platform and then dialogue about Ghana. And when we dialogue, this is our consensus. When we have dialogue, this is what we want to communicate to the public and to the people and to policymakers out there. Don't let me tell you this. In 2009, the various chairmen, the chairman of the political parties, with their general secretaries, paid a courtesy call on Professor Mills. And one of the issues they discussed with him was the need for constitutional review. So in 2009, President Mills said, because the political parties have not been divided over this, I'm going to implement that recommendation. You understand? And so it is something that we must always commend and applaud, to have various, go to Nigeria that we're talking about and see whether it is easy to have party A chairman and party B chairman sitting together to dialogue and to brainstorm about some of these issues.
What happened? Let me acknowledge Niyama Krofra. Ni, you're welcome. Hello.
Good evening to your listeners. Good evening to your team.
Hello. Hello. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you clearly. Good evening to you. Good evening to your listeners.
Very well, my brother. Well, we are talking about a very sensitive position, the successor for Dr. Afari Gyan. Indeed, but what I find out with you is, I mean, there are, I think, 8 of the chairmen, in total. Is it 8 or 7?
7. Seven-member commission.
7-member commission, right. Yeah. I mean, why do we lay so much emphasis on, the chairman and, the rest seems to be asleep, even though they all form part of the decision, that will get out? I mean, aren't we, giving too much powers to the chairman or putting too much energy on the chairman and leaving the rest alone?
Hello?
Hello, Ni, are you online still? Yeah, Ni?
Yes.
Ni, you're online still?
I think this whole issue, this whole issue for us is a very straightforward one. Clear what the Constitution says. And where we are as a nation, it's not always about the Constitution. It's about doing things sometimes beyond the Constitution to ensure that the country, the interest of the country's interest. After all, the government had a French meeting. That's not to say that it was not the government in charge of the economy of the country, but they were seeking to have some sort of consensus on the way forward.
Let me interject you a little bit here. Then in that case, we need to take the Constitution to the Supreme Court and get it changed, because otherwise we have to work with it.
We need to come again.
We need to change what the Constitution. We need to change what the Constitution says. Otherwise, we have to work with it.
Well, I'm not sure I've got all of it, but the point is, there are many issues that come up in the country which need to be addressed. And we know that we have some successes in the electoral commission. We know that we also have some spectacular failure. We also know that increasingly the polarization in the country can lead to something else. The last election.
I think I need to get sound. Are you here? I need to get sound. Sound. If you can cut and try and call back, because we can barely hear Nee's line. See if you can get a clearer line for me. But Nee is saying that, look, go beyond the Constitution and think of the country. Let common sense apply. But then the Constitution is supreme. So then unless we go and rewrite it.
But Mr. Host, I told you earlier that who told you that the president will just one day sit down and one day just get up and nominate somebody and then seek the advice of the Council of State on that person and then just appoint that person?
But
that wouldn't be the case. Definitely the president will speak to some people. There will be some security checks, background checks on the person. He would speak to his party chairman. He would speak to some people. He would consult. I mean, if you speak to those who have worked with the presidency, both NPP and NDC that have been in power before, they will tell you that some of these things, the leaders tend to consult. And so if somebody says, yes, as you consult, broaden the consultation process, there is nothing that undermines the constitutional provision you know, when you decide. If the president decides to pick up a phone and then speak to the head of IEA, that, well, I have 3 people, they are XYZ, what do you think about them? If he picks up a phone and decides to speak to Mr. Paul Afoko or Alhaji Ramadan or Kwabene Japan or Samia Nkrumah, well, these are the people I'm considering. What do you think? It has its own, that approach, that gesture would have some moderating influences, you know, over the way people think. It promotes inclusive politics. It makes them feel that, well, we are all, as he rightly said, we are deeply polarized. And if we don't do anything to mend that cracks, if we continue to practice winner takes all politics, I mean, it's my time to appoint, and so I will go on without consultations and all that. I mean, this is just something, a request, and it's not binding. But I'm saying that it would look good for the president. It will inure to the president's own advantage when he tries to reach across the political divide and then speak to other stakeholders that, well, behind the scenes, we are not saying that go organize, blow it up, out there in the media. Well, I spoke to this, no. But behind the scenes consultations, I think will help. It would ensure that, look, whoever comes up is acceptable. For me, I think Afari Gyan has done well. I think he's done well. But the point is this. You do not want people to have negative perception. People to have that, continue to have all that feeling of distrust. I'm saying that the man has supervised an election that brought the MPP into power. And when the MPP was in power, he saw everything right with Afari Gyan. Everything became wrong with Afari Gyan when they went into opposition. And I'm telling you, tomorrow, if the power changes hands, you see them singing, saying something different. So the point is that in order to prevent that feeling of distrust, that perceived perception that you've appointed somebody who is your crony and all that, it is good for Ghana to try to bring all on board. Just speak to people about it. And the president talking to people about whoever he wants to appoint would not undermine the constitutional provision. And so I disagree with people who just want to be heard by saying that, well, in trying to speak to people, consult other stakeholders would mean undermining the constitutional provision. I think it is not Ghanaian enough, it is not patriotic enough to confine yourself to that without trying to reach out to others, other key stakeholders and others across the political divide. If we really are mindful, or if we really want to take lessons from what happened after the 2012 elections, then we should not create room for doubts. We should not create room for distrust. Let us ensure that whoever is thrown to us by the president is somebody that we all applaud and accept.
Whoever is thrown to us is somebody we are all going to accept, probably applaud. And I'm saying Professor Ernest Daite, I'm saying Professor Joshua Labi, Professor Haruna Yakubu, school academia. Coming straight back. Let's see what Dr. Jampo thinks. We are looking for a successor for Dr. Afari Gyan. Indeed, he has served his time, he has paid his dues, he has done his job, and he has to take the final bow and leave the stage. Who fills this boot? And I'm saying that, looking at how deeply politicized we are as a people, why don't we go all academia and look at the vice chancellors? Because you don't normally see them tinted or slanted in one way or the other, so they'll be accepted by all parties. I've thrown names down: Professor Ernest Daite, Professor Joshua Labi, Professor Haruna Yakubu, and I'm sure you can add a few more. Now the universities are all over, so we can have more than one. I mean, somebody with that stature leading the EC, I don't think anybody will have a complaint.
Well, a replacement of Afari Gyan, I mean, it could be my own vice chancellor, Professor Aite, very much respected Professor Aite. It could be anybody. But the point that is being made is that there should be some consultations. And I think I would say that over and over and over again, that you should consult other people in making that appointment. And so I agree with you. These they may be seasoned academics who are always minding their own business, and they have achieved, that excellence and have that impeccable record and all that. But don't forget that if you go appoint them and people begin to, dig into their backgrounds and they tell you that, we are not comfortable with that, it creates problems. But the point is that if you reach out to the key stakeholders in this game, when people are making noise,
you have names like Emmanuel Akwete, Mr. Bombande, who are more like the civil warriors in the system. Would you go for somebody like that thing the media did is a great disservice to the very people, whose name have come up, because I'm not sure the president may not even be thinking about them, but if you do that, you disqualify them, because all of a sudden people would try to pick and choose. Well, I'll support this, I won't support that. So if you don't appoint this, then you didn't appoint my people. No, it shouldn't be like that. Mm-hmm. Keep them behind the scenes and consult around them. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to come out with a very much accepted person. And so I think the word is to broaden the consultation process. Let's speak to Bernard Mona, General Secretary PNC, who clearly doesn't see any need for consultation. There's enough consultation in his books. Hello and welcome, my brother.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good. The time to elect an EC chairman, very sensitive position. The general idea is that, look, the president should broaden the consultation. There's another school of thought who say, look, the consultation is broad enough, leave the man to do his job. Where do you stand?
I think that the president swore an oath of office, and the oath of office in part states that the president shall protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution of Ghana. And if you take Article 43(2) of the 1992 Constitution, it says that there shall be a chairman and 2 deputy chairmen of the Electoral Commission, who shall be appointed by the president in accordance with Article 70 of the 1992 Constitution. First, to Article 70, Clause 2, it says that the president, upon the advice of the Council of State, shall appoint the chairman and 2 deputy chairmen of the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
I think that the matter is finished. This is what Democrats will say. That is what is pertaining. That is what the rule of law says, and let the president act according to the laws, and in particular that he has sworn to uphold the Constitution. Let him do what the Constitution of Ghana says. See, for instance, in the appointment of a Chief Justice, the president needed the consultation of the Council of State and to go to the Parliament. That is what the Constitution says. So when Justice Akwa died, President Kufuor appointed Georgina Wood and went through the processes. In appointing 4 commissioners into the Electoral Commission, President Kufuor acted in accordance with the Constitution, appointed 4 commissioners to the Electoral Commission. President Mills appointed the chairperson for the National Commission on Civic Education when Larry Bimi passed on to glory, and appointed a deputy chairman to replace that of David Kanga when David Kanga went on retirement. All these things were done in accordance with the Constitution of Ghana. As a political party that believes in the rule of law, that upholds the tenets of democracy, we think that the Constitution mandates the president to do what is right and honorable. Those who are calling for the broad consultation, I ask the question, where does the consultation start and where does it end? Will it involve bringing the Tiger Nuts Producers Association of this country? Will it involve bringing the Tomatoes Association of Ghana to come and sit? Because they also are part and parcel of our democratic process. Will it include bringing the Ghana Bar Association, the Ghana Boxing Association, the Ghana Trade Union Congress, journalists like you, Where do we start and where do we end, and who should be excluded from that consultation and who should not be excluded? My view is that if anybody thinks that the president should not act the way it is, then I don't know what the person is talking about. Then what they are calling for is that let's subject the process of the new chairman of the Electoral Commission to an election, so that every Ghanaian will then go and vote for those who are interested in occupying the position of chairman of the Electoral Commission. I think that we are over diluting the processes. Let's have confidence that any Ghanaian that is appointed will do right to the Constitution and to the citizens of Ghana, and that the person will ensure that we are able to expand and bring more credibility to the Electoral Commission. This is what all of us should be expecting from whoever is appointed. Beyond that, as I keep saying, elections are not won by Electoral Commission. Elections are won at the polling station. If you go and put an agent who cannot write 270, but who can write 270, it is our business to ensure that we put efficient people who can do the job at the polling station. After all, as we saw with the Nigerian election, the chairman of the INEC was sitting in Abuja. The elections happened in villages and communities. The results were just brought to the chairman to announce and collate them. In similar vein, the chairman of the Electoral Commission is not the one who will go and stand at the polling station. The action is at the polling station. Anybody that has any doubt, go to the polling station and ensure that you are able to bridge that gap.
Let me come in here, Bernard. I mean, you see, this law was formulated 20 years ago. Dynamics are a bit different now. And with regards to limitations, we just limit it to, parties that have representation in Parliament. It doesn't go wider than that.
Master,
yes.
The parties with representation in Parliament, it only is a privileged position. It's only a privileged position. The fact that you have a member of Parliament does not make you a superior political party. Others may have contributed solid ideas which possibly were not taken care of. The fact that they don't have representation. The other important portion that I want to say is that, is it only political parties that matter in this exercise? Nana, given all the contributions and your opinions that you have expressed, don't you matter in the calculations of issues in this country? Who should we leave out and who should we bring? I'm saying that let the president act in accordance with the Constitution. And since the Constitution is what guides all of us, let the president do his job.
Hold on, don't move. Hold on, don't move. Bernard is saying that who then do you add and who do you leave out? I have Dr. Ransford Jampo with me in studio, so I'm trying to get him to answer to say how broad do we get it or how lean do we get it? So, Doc.
Well, I am surprised. Looks as if Bernard Mona is stretching the argument for consultations, to the realms of absurdity. He knows. I mean, in every political party, there are the hawks there, and there are people who hold radical and militant views, and then there are also quite the elderly who are moderate and sober-minded and all that. I mean, the chairman of his party was part of those who said that you should broaden, the consultation. And if they say broaden the consultation, I'm not sure they limited themselves to only political parties, but they are key stakeholders. Bernard Mona is aware that definitely, like I said earlier on, the president will still consult. With or without this call, he will still consult. It's never going to happen that the president will just get up one day and say, well, this is my man, I'm just speaking to the Council of State, and then that's all. He would definitely consult. And I'm saying that nobody is touching the constitutional provision that, that regulates the appointment of the EC chair and members of the EC, of the commission. Nobody's touching it. But you wouldn't have also done anything wrong if you decide to pick up a phone. If the president pick up a phone and call Bernard Mona and say, Bernard Mona, I'm considering Gabriel Pwaman as your former general secretary, as the chairman of the EC. What do you think? He wouldn't have done anything that undermines the constitutional provision. And so let's get it clear. First of all, nobody is saying limit the consultation to political parties. They are key stakeholders. which we all know.
Can Bernard Mona drag the president to court? You know, he done it before. They were trying to sit on a holiday and drag. You can drag and say, look, Mr. President, you are breaching the constitution because you're going beyond your mandate.
That he picked up a phone and called Bernard Mona to find out his view.
No, if I'm sure.
Let's be clear.
Yes,
let's be clear on what we are asking for.
Exactly, and
what we are asking for is
that
the constitutional provision that regulates the appointment of the members of the Electoral Commission, the chairman of the Electoral Commission is clear, and nobody is interested in touching it or in undermining it. Indeed, yesterday when the chairman met, they were very conscious of that we should be careful we don't tie the president's hands, we should be careful we don't do things that undermine the constitutional provision. But it is, we've grown as a nation. As Peter McMahon said, why did we even review our constitution? And in the Constitutional Review Commission's report, if you read it, they've also made recommendations that also tries to alter the status quo. And so the point is that let us move on as a nation. Times are changing, and let us bring all on board. The president has got all the powers to appoint whoever he wants to appoint. But the point is that some statesmen are also saying that as you exercise that power, tamper that power with some amount of public consultation with key stakeholders. I don't think they are asking for too much. So Bernard Mona should understand.
Bernard, they're not asking for too much. What do you think?
First, I take exception to my very good friend and brother, Dr. Jampo, describing my submission as taking it to absurd levels. I take strong exception to that. And I want to calm down in order to respond to him.
Okay.
One, Constitutional Review Commission that Dr. Jampo is talking about. Is he saying that by every stretch of what he says, that the Constitutional Review Commission's recommendations constitute what the law is today? And that they are only recommendations that are subjected or should be subjected to the decisions of the people of Ghana, which the institution Ransford represents, is even seeking that we should not engage in the processes now. So that cannot be used as a document to justify the illegality that they want to create at this platform. Two, the fact that my national chairman participated in the process does not mean that I cannot hold a different opinion. I am saying that what we are doing is totally against the spirit of the Constitution. If the IEA is a respecter of the Constitution and believes in democracy, the rule of law, let the law work. Is it to seek too much? Where was the IEA when we appointed a Chief Justice in this country? Where was the IEA when we appointed 4 commissioners into the Electoral Commission? Where was the IEA when we appointed a chairman for the National Commission on Civic Education? Where was the IEA when we replaced the 2 retired deputy commissioners, deputy chairman of the Electoral Commission?
But the stakes are very high on the EC,
Which stakes are high? Let the IEA encourage all of us to ensure that we monitor the polling station if there are any difficulties. That is where the problem will come from. Ransford do know that the electoral commissioner or the chairman of the electoral commission is just a one voter who will cast a vote and come and sit down. And anybody who has participated in the processes of elections in this country know that the electoral commission only assembles the results that emanate from the various constituencies and announce the results. Didn't we see that in the INEC declaration of results? It didn't matter whether it was President Goodluck Jonathan that appointed the chairman of the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission could not have done otherwise than to declare what pertained at the elections, the polling stations. I am saying that we are trying to inflame passions. We are trying to introduce extraneous that may cause unnecessary tensions, and we will end up by saying that if we have listened to consultation, I am saying that the consultation will have no beginning and it cannot have an end. It will be such an amorphous thing, because if you decide to exclude any group, they will come out and say, why didn't you consult us? And I am sure that Tomato Sellers Association will come and say that, are we not voted? I am sure that civil society organization will come and say, we also vote. And I'm sure that Nana, that's my opinion, you will also ask question, why were you not consulted? Why do we want to deviate and devalue what the essence of the Constitution is? This is what the law says. We do not agree on what the law says. Let us expunge that law and bring in what all of us think. If we think that the Electoral Commissioner must be a subject of all of us, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, let's subject the process to a vote. Let every Ghanaian have a bite at it. Let's put the people across and let the people of Ghana determine. If that is not the case, the Constitution says in locus classicus that the president has a mandate upon the advice of the Council of State, and let that be the case.
Thank you. Now I'm going to look at the Council of State in depth here. We've looked at the Council of State traditionally. You come and there's a Busiapenyi in the house, and whether you like it or not, he's the Busiapenyi, and you know he's got.
First, before you talk about the Council of State, let me make a few comments about what Bernard Mona said.
Okay, briefly.
I think it's an unnecessary attempt to just single the IEA and to say so many things about it. It's an IEA Ghana Political Parties program, okay, and he is a member of that program. This issue has been discussed at the General Secretary's level, and it was taken again to the caucus, the chairman's level. And so I don't know, I don't see the point he's trying to make. And then he also speak about the spirit of the Constitution. There is always a difference between the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. What he's trying to do is to look at the letter of the Constitution. But what the chairman, or what I'm talking about, is the spirit of the Constitution. If you say, do this on the advice of the Council of State, it means there is some kind of consultation. So if you are talking about the spirit, then your people are saying, other people are saying, broaden. Let us feel the spirit very well. But what he is seeking to do is to look at only the letter of the Constitution. And I'm saying that in any legal interpretation, I mean, you'll be wrong, very much wrong, if you look only at the letter of the Constitution. And the point is, trying to undermine some other groups who may think, mention some other groups who may feel excluded and all that. I think it's neither here nor there, because, like I said, in such consultation, there are key stakeholders whose views must necessarily be sought.
The last few minutes, let's look at the Council of State and how handicapped they may be in professing or giving advice, even though the Constitution doesn't mandate the president to take the advice. Well,
like I said earlier, the president is supposed to advise. The president is supposed to appoint on advice of the Council of State. And if you look at the composition of the Council of State, as I indicated earlier, the president has an overriding power of appointment in terms of the composition of the Council of State. And I'm saying that anytime you have such an arrangement, it becomes difficult for that body to get, to assert its independence. And again, there are constitutional provisions that allows the president, or that gives the power, the president the power to terminate the appointment of member of the Council of State. And I'm saying that is enough to calm anybody who feels independent, among them. And then secondly, their role is merely advisory. And whatever they say is not binding on the president. And so at the end of the day, the president, they can have their say, the president will have his way. And that is a weakness, these are some of the weaknesses that we found with the Council of State. Going forward as a nation, I think we can all sit to dialogue and to look at how we can strengthen the Council of State to play its role as an effective countervailing authority to the powers of the president.
Considering the reputation of the EC now, which is not quite high up, how much chore, how much task has this new guy got to bring it back up to that trust level and that EC that we all want?
Well, I think, like I said, if the process, if the mode of appointment is good and is acceptable, I mean, people will tend to sort of accept whoever is appointed. But as you rightly said, and as I said earlier, essentially, it is not the chairman who does everything. If you look at the structure of the EC, it is the deputy chairperson or chairman in charge of administration and finance, and then deputy chairman in charge of operation. These are the two key people who do the work. The chairman sits at the apex of the structure and just provides advice. But the point is that sometimes perception, violence would erupt not because of reality, but because of a feeling or a perception that somebody is doing something untoward or somebody is impartial and all that. And I'm saying that in preparing towards future elections, it is important that as we even fine-tune our electoral processes, we also do not leave room for such feelings of distrust and such feelings and perceptions that whoever has been appointed may be a crony of one person and cannot be, a trustworthy person. I mean, it's not good for our nation. Democracy is good, and democracy thrives also on consultation.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Rasford Jampo, a senior lecturer, political science, University of Ghana, and also senior research fellow, IEA. The last on the phone was Bernard Mona, General Secretary, PNC. Folks, thank you very much. But yes, indeed, it's a sensitive position, and we know and trust that once again, Ghana will pull through. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Dr. Yo, thank you very much. Thank you.